Okay, so today we are gonna put these two cameras up against each other. Now this isn't a go out and show you guys, this is really a nice little talk for those of us, because I think that's kind of important. I'm gonna give you my thoughts on, maybe, you know, you've been looking at the ZV-1F, maybe you've been looking at the ZV-1, and maybe you've been looking at this camera here, which is the ZV-E10. So we're gonna talk about the three of them, and then you guys can make your decision when you're looking at buying, if you should get one or the other. Okay, so ZV-1F, boom, ZV-1, and just realize I got this extra ring on there, and we'll talk about why I have this extra ring on here down the road. And of course this guy up here, which you guys are not necessarily seeing, but it's the ZV-E10. So let's talk about photo resolution first, because you're buying one of these for photography. Number one, these two here, resolution wise and sensor wise, pretty much identical, right? They're both ZV-1s, right? You're looking at 1-inch sensors on both, so bigger than your traditional cell phone for sure. Image quality that comes out of them, good, pleased, it's fine. Right? You get that nice depth of field, and you get some nice color profiles, etc., etc. So I think it does well. If you want to up your game in it, just because you want a bit more resolution, you're going to this guy right up here. Again, you're not seeing it, but ZV-E10. And that one's pushing 25 megapixels or 24.2, they say effective megapixels. Is going from 20 to 24 a lot? No, but is more better? Sure. You know, that's fine. Plus, you actually get a bigger sensor. So you're going to an APS sensor, which means that you're going to be able to gather more light, which means that you're going to get a bit shallower depth of field, which means you're going to be able to shoot a bit faster, etc., etc. Is that better? Yeah, for sure. That's always good, right? So if this is going to be like a photo camera, then I think that's important. Now, the other thing to realize between the three, JPEG and JPEG only on the ZV-E10, JPEG plus RAW, nice, and ZV-E10, JPEG plus RAW. So again, if you want to be able to shoot RAW, either the ZV-1 or the ZV-E10. Lens-wise, 20 mil, which is a lovely focal length, 20 mil. But that's all you're getting, right? 20 millimeters. So you gotta like a nice wide shot. For landscape and things like that, pretty good. If you want to be able to shoot portraits and all that kind of stuff, you can get closer, but it's gonna kind of look a little more weird, I think, because of just the way it is. These cameras here, so the ZV-1 is a effective 24 to 70. Not quite as wide as the ZV-1F, but you get a bit of zoom range, which is actually really nice. So 24 to 70, that's kind of a lens that a lot of people like on their full-size cameras. I actually use that as kind of as my travel lens, something like a 24 to 70, actually a 28 to 70, but I would prefer it to be a 24 to 70. ZV-E10, think it's a 16 to 50, which it has a 1.5 times crop on it, which puts it into about a 24 to 70-ish. But it's interchangeable, right? So you have that ability to take the lens and replace it with other lenses, right? I have a 54 fixed 1.4 lens, which I love. Wasn't overly expensive. Used their traditional mounts for the Sony mounts. If you want to be able to use the camera to move forward and upgrade and play with, and that's a really good option, right? So fixed lens, really wide, has a zoom, interchangeable. Right? So it really all depends. This has, like I said, an optical zoom. This does have, they call it like an electronic zoom. So it has a 1.5 electronic zoom, but really you're just cropping into the image. So just kind of be aware of that, right? And again, those features on all of these, photo and or video. So that's something to realize, right? Aperture wise, again, on this one, you're looking at f2. And this one, you're looking at f1.8, which is kind of nice. And this one, it really depends on what lens you decide to put on it. Now, a few other features that I kind of want to talk about. And for me, I use these cameras primarily for video. So out of the box, if you're going to use these as vlogging cameras, this one's got a really nice focal length, so 20 millimeter. The 20 millimeter is nice. 20 millimeter is really nice. It gets you out at arm's length. It's wide enough. I'd love to see them down the road kind of get a little wider, maybe an 18 or 16. But out of the box, 20 mil. It's the only one of the three out of the box that I would be comfortable with vlogging with because of the fact that it's wide enough. This one is 24 equivalent, and the ZV-E10, I believe, is 24 equivalent as well. So a little tighter, right? But again, on the ZV-E10, you can buy down the road a wider lens. And on the ZV-1, a company out there makes this. This is like an add-on lens, and it's a wide. So that's what this little ring is here. And basically this screws on to that, you know, if I can, there it is, right there. So it makes the camera a bit more chunky, for sure, the ZV-1. But now you take your 24, which was this, and it brings it down to an 18. So you're actually wider now than the ZV-1F. But this lens in it by itself, I think it's like Canadian-wise, it was like 200 or 230 bucks or something like that. I think, don't quote me on it. So something to be aware of. If you're traveling and you want something light, winner. Definitely the lightest of them. It's definitely lighter even than the ZV-1, right? And that's with or without this lens on it. I'll take this lens back off, right? But it's not as if it's a huge difference, but there's a difference for sure. Lighter, a little heavier, more heavy. Again, it is what it is. As you go up the list, they get better quality. They seem to be just heavier. Back to photography, just so you guys know, you are looking at, for continuous shooting, maybe you want to be able to do bursts out there. You're looking at, on the ZV-1, 24 is maximum. Of course, that depends on the card that you have in there, right? 16 right here. So on the ZV-E10, it's kind of just, it's a mouthful here. It says up to 11 frames per second at 24 megapixels, right? For up to 116 frames. So it'll shoot 11 until it hits 116 frames, and then it just says, and that's in JPEG. If you're shooting in RAW, you're going to get 46. So basically, you're getting about 4 seconds worth of shooting, right, of continual. Both of those are decent, right? So, fine, it's fine. Video modes. Video modes, for those of you that care, I care. All of these can shoot 4K, which is great. You're looking at, let's see here, I'm just going to read some specs for you guys. Full 4K at, and this is on the ZV-1, full 4K at 24 frames, 25 frames, 30 frames. Cool. This one, same deal, 24, 25, 30. And then this guy up here, 24, 25, 30. So it's pretty much the same, right? At 1920, so going down to HD, you are getting 24, 25, 30, 50, and 60. And it says 100, and that's on this one, frames per second. On this guy, you're getting the same. And on this guy, you're also getting the same. So it looks like video resolution, you know what, we'll just say it's the ZV line. They all kind of do the same deal, right? Same deal. Now, I don't think this one can do this, but the ZV-1 series, and you'll see this coming in a future video, because I am setting up a YouTube streaming setup station, whatever you want to call it. And these two cameras are going to be primary cameras for me. These two can do streaming, so you can set these up to be almost like webcams. Now, the downside is they only do it in 720p. Is that a big issue? Not really. Really, 720 and 1080 is what most people stream at anyway, but that's their limitation. But they can do it. So if you want to kind of get a camera that can do that, as much as I would love the ZV-E10 to, I don't think it does, unless that's something that it has introduced recently. But these two do it. And these are going to be the two cameras that I use for doing that streaming, which is kind of nice. Plug wise, ZV-E10 has a USB spot, which is great. Microphone, awesome. USB-C again on the ZV-1F, USB-C for power, which is awesome. And microphone, sweet. ZV-1, hold on, micro USB. Oh, still powers, but micro USB. You can tell that it's the oldest of the lot, right? Still powers, but yes, microphone, and of course, an HDMI out, which is kind of nice. Battery wise, you know what? These two cameras are small batteries for sure. They have small batteries in them. So definitely, if you're buying one of these, buy some extra batteries without question. I would, or bring a battery pack so that you can charge the existing battery that's in it. Plus, you could run it off the external battery pack. The ZV-E10 definitely has a bigger battery pack, but I would also think that it requires a bit more power, but you are going to get a little bit more lifetime out of this. And again, the ZV-E10 also has the ability to run off of external power. So if you want that, you're good to go. Now here's one of the things that I like on the ZV-1F that I didn't like on the ZV-1. And I'm going to flip these kind of this way. Okay, so you guys can see them here. ZV-1F, ZV-1. Yes? Now, you'll see on the ZV-1, the tripod hole still not centered with the lens. You know, I think if you centered it on the lens, you may have been able to remedy this. But the tripod hole and the battery/SD card door are really close to each other. Over here, tripod hole is far away from the battery door. Issue is, and I've talked about this before, when you have this attached to a tripod, or you have it attached, let's say, to the Sony grip, this guy here, when it's attached to it, you can't open the door to get your battery out, or you can't get your SD card out. So if you're recording something and need to be able to switch the battery or SD card really fast, you just can't do it. You have to take it off the tripod, which that's a fail in my opinion, right? That's a fail. Not something. It's not a feature that would stop me from buying it, but I wish they would have had some forethought on that. You can tell there was enough complaints about it that they remedied it with the ZV-1F, because the tripod has moved over here, which means you can see, right? When this door opens, it covers the tripod hole. So the door literally, you can't get access to it. Like, it covers it right away. Here though, well, you can tell, right? It's just nowhere near. Win. So if I was buying one of these cameras right now, just one, which one will it? And it's honestly, it's super hard to decipher. If I was looking at a photo camera, and photo was my primary need, and I didn't want necessarily to have to go buy anything extra, for photos, I would pick the ZV-E10 for sure, because higher resolution, bigger sensor. It does have the ability to do interchangeable lenses. I think that's really nice. If I was looking for a camera that was possibly maybe a secondary camera or a travel camera where I could take some photos, you know, because I like to be able to play with them, so I get JPEG and RAW. Plus, I could down the road get the adapter to make this wide enough so that I could do vlogging and stuff like that on it. Then I would kind of go with the ZV-1. But if you are strictly looking at like a vlogging camera, and you're like, no, I just want this for vlogging, or a static camera, 20mm is kind of the focal length, I guess, that I want. This is the one that's going to save you some money, right? It's going to save you some money. It comes in Canadian, like, I don't know, 650 bucks or something like that. Like, that's decent, right? Super easy to use. It's the most current out of the lot, which is kind of nice. And like, it works really good. It's a nice throw in your jacket kind of camera, right? For those times that you're like, you know, it's the camera that's with you. This has probably got the biggest chance of being the camera that's with you because of how small and convenient it is. So convenience versus convenience, but has a bit more, also heavier, right? Versus No, I want a real do it all kind of camera, right? ZV-10. That's kind of my look at the three Sonys for the ZV lineup right now. Oh, one more thing, just so you guys know, the ZV-1 and the ZV, I don't think I talked about this, and the ZV-E10 both record gyro data, which means you can use Catalyst Browse with them for stabilizing post-production. And Catalyst Browse with that gyro data is so good. Such a nice feature. The ZV-1F does not use gyro data at all. So it uses internal stabilization, which is their like Sony Steady Shot, I believe it is, or Steady something or other. Works good, but that's definitely a win. Now, I don't know if I made this video more confusing, or hopefully it helped some of you, just kind of putting them side by side and why certain features are better than others, and kind of which person you are and which camera maybe you should choose. Again, if I think I were buying just one, I would probably go with the ZV-E10, just because for me, I like if it's just one camera that kind of does it all, right? Does it all. And not to say that I can't go buy a wider lens for it, but you have to be ready for that investment, right? It's really an investment. This is it is what it is. I love what it is, and I'm not going to complain about what it is. All right, guys, I'm going to put links over this to Sony's website. You guys can go take a look at the ZV line, and that's it. Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the little notification bell, links down below. And let me know if you have any questions on these three cameras. I like them. You know what? As far as entry-level cameras are, you can't go wrong with really any of these, I don't think. All right, guys, I'm out. Later.